everybody, we're back with a Fallout 4 interview. I'm Lawrence Sonntag.
Did you call it an interview or review? Interview.
What did I say?
You sound like it's an interview.
Oh. Perhaps that's meant to be part of the wordplay of the title.
That's it.
It's
You're
not.
clever.
Adam came up with it.
Just like Fallout. Yeah, we're checking out Fallout 4. We've been playing it. Have you logged your hours?
Steam has.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, let me go check. Here, I'll be right back.
Okay, well, I'll just say, okay, I'll wait for you. Sure. Well, I've been playing 35 to 40 hours, depending on however you want to say it. I play them both on Xbox One and PC, mostly on PC, but we did get a little bit of the console version, so we will be talking about both versions, but mostly the PC.
45 hours.
I haven't played any hours of Fallout.
Yeah.
0 hours.
Get out of here. This is
What score did you give it, James? James, come back.
0 hours.
Zero.
Okay.
He gave it a 0 out of 10. 45 hours.
There
is
you
my
go.
math.
Okay. So this kind of goes back to our mantra of doing this show. We don't give scores, and Fallout, I believe, is the one game that definitely should never get a score.
Yeah, it's going to come down, I mean, like most games, this is silly to say, but it's going to come down to taste. What do you want from a game? What are you expecting, I think, with Fallout 4 is going to play into a lot, too.
Right, and we'll circle back to this, but it's also kind of what you make it, or make of it. It's going to have some interesting things to say about Fallout as a whole, but it's an interesting game franchise. We've essentially put about like 6 Call of Duty hours into it.
Yeah, that's about right.
And I still don't feel like I'm that far into the game.
Yeah, I still want to play it, even though I'm at hour 45.
Yep.
Be that as it is. The thing is, like, the density of the time you put into it is not quite so intense as anything else. And I guess we can start at that point of a high level. Like, this is not a core video game. I mean, it is in some ways. There's a lot of systems there. There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of buttons to hit. But not a lot of those all those buttons kind of end at the same result, is that you gooify some raider, you pick up his gumdrops, his mentats, and a stim pack, and you continue on your way. And you do that over and over and over again until it tells you that the building is cleared, and then you go turn in the quest, and then you get another quest, and then you go to another building, and you do it again. And it's fun. It's a fun loop to go through, but at the end of it, you're just like, huh.
Yeah. Well, the Fallout franchise, and I would say Bethesda games in general, they do have a streamline, and they have been becoming more streamlined as the games have progressed, but there's still something about them. There is a charm that I think people like myself find, where this is one of the few games where you can just immerse yourself into a world and just get lost and kind of do whatever you want to do. Now, they have actually limited a lot of things. There's one example. I went into a mysterious vault, not the one that you come out of, but there's another one, and I tried just murdering everybody, but the people actually wouldn't die. They would just sit on the floor. That kind of took me out of it a little bit, but I'm kind of hoping for PC mods to fix that.
Yeah.
Since the script extender just came out. But regardless, you shouldn't have to do that. But that's another thing, going back to what you're saying. It's always kind of hard for me to look at Fallout or any Bethesda game as like a video game. I always just kind of look at it as like a really high concept role-playing tabletop game that they have turned into a 3D algorithm.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. For me, it's almost like a digital aquarium. Like, you can just kind of stare at it, look at everything move around, and occasionally that fish will fight that other fish, and you're like, cool. But I feel like I'm behind the glass more than ever with Fallout 4, and this is maybe a part of it scaling up in production value, but the range of the interactions the game will actually acknowledge between you and the players inside this game is getting smaller. At least that's how it feels to me. In Fallout 2, and to a lesser extent 3, you could get up to some pretty crazy shit. Like, you could kill quest NPCs, and then that quest just would never finish. And you could still keep playing the game as much as it would allow you to, but like in Fallout 2, you can murder everything. And I don't want to say that like a virtue of a game is how much you can murder, but it's really how much you can play within the boundaries it lets you have.
Sure.
And so, for instance, Fallout 4 adds full voice acting. That's good in one way, but not as good in another, because it really kind of streamlines the interactions you have with NPCs.
We're talking a full suit of Cherry T-45 power armor. Military issue.
I like it.
There's a couple times in the story mission they said, well, no, you're going to fight this guy because you need to fight him.
Yeah, you really have to.
Yeah, and I was like,
You wrote a lot of VO around him being dead, so he really has to be dead now.
It would have been nice if in that situation, and I don't know, because I only played it through the one time. It didn't give me the option when I played it, but it would have been nice to convince the guy to blow his own brains out. Maybe, or give up, or maybe join me as a companion. Like, to have those different sort of paths, it's mind-boggling, because I can't ask a game to be something that it's not, but I know that the game is capable of doing that, and so those sorts of things, I feel like, kind of hurts the experience, or it's strange that games that were technically less savvy had almost more to offer in the past, but at the same time, I'm still just kind of lost in this world, because what other game lets you play in a first-person post-apocalyptic world with a beautiful color palette?
Bingo.
I rolled a low intelligence character because I enjoy doing low intelligence runs of like Fallout 2, because it actually changed the dialogue. You could just like grunt and say basic words, and that's basically like you get away with. That doesn't happen in 4 because all the stuff is VO'd, so it's the same lines. It's just every hour maybe there will be one dialogue choice that I can't pick because my intelligence isn't high enough. And that doesn't feel as fundamentally different of an experience. I'm still running around and killing things like I would if I had high intelligence. It's just, oh, there is a terminal I can't unlock to get to the 5 bobby pins on the other side of that door. It doesn't feel like as tailored of an experience, but still, like, I feel like the experience is more generic, but still it's more enjoyable now.
What do you want? We don't need any more trouble around here.
I find myself enjoying the game a lot more when I look at it as a first-person shooter and not an RPG. I look at it as a first-person shooter with open-world elements and RPG elements, and all of a sudden I'm like, this is the best first-person shooter I've ever played. But it's one of the weaker RPGs that I've played, and I'm trying to figure out the balance of what the hell is this genre.
But then, like, if you look at it from a shooter, the level design's pretty dumb, because all the dungeons are like a lot of connected rooms with ramps of rubble, like connecting all the floors, and you just have to find the ramp, and sometimes that takes a while because it's really like labyrinthine.
Yeah. Or you let your companion run ahead, and even though you're crouched and you're trying to go in stealth, but your Paladin Dance wants to just run in because he's Paladin Dance, and
that's what he does.
He's a dick.
Yeah, and then like the enemies aren't that interesting if you look at it from a pure shooter perspective as well. All they do is run at you and shoot you. Sometimes they have a rocket launcher and then they blow themselves up and everyone around them because the AI is just not programmed to acknowledge the fact that they can kill everything.
Yeah.
So it's a really loose and kind of low budget shooter when you look at it from that perspective. But it is the magic combination of all that stuff that just kind of makes it trancing. Like,
yeah. First, let's just talk about, I guess, the basic story.
Yeah.
Are you interested in it at all?
No. Okay. I mean, it's a Bethesda open world RPG. I'm pretty sure that the story itself is going to be and as far as I played, no spoilers obviously, but there are not that many twists and turns. There was one kind of cool mission where I got to like explore the head of the main villain, and that kind of humanized him after the fact, and I was like, okay, that's kind of neat. You're trying, but that was like 20 minutes of that's kind of cool versus 2.5 hours of just like, here's a building, let's punch everybody to death in it. Oh, I found a strip of paper that has a password on it that somehow leads me to the next building. Yep. So I don't buy in really to the overarching story. What gets me are the little meta stories that happen in all the buildings you go into.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is definitely another symptom of Bethesda games. I'm not saying it's a fault or a pro or a con, wherever you want to say. Going off on the side missions and doing the Brotherhood of Steel side quests is way more enjoyable than the main story, but the main story is always there. I think it's always just kind of an itch in the back of your head if you're ever wandering around, you're like, well, I don't really know what to do, but I want some XP and I want to level up because I want to get all my perks. Like, it is always that carrot you are chasing. They just dangle in front of your face. Once again, if you go back and you start looking at the game as a single-player first-person shooter, you're like, wow, Call of Duty never let me do this before.
After all the time I put into it, I'm still kind of lukewarm on it. I'll still go back and finish it, but I guess to me, and I think I've seen this conversation from a lot of people around the old internet, is for you, Adam, do you feel like they added or changed it enough from the formula? Because this is basically Fallout 3, but some of the rough edges have been sanded down, and then they added on like the construction elements and the settlement management stuff.
I guess for full transparency, I never played Fallout 1 or 2. I had friends who were into it, and they tried to sell me on it, and I was never into the isometric view. Fallout 3 I always thought looked interesting. I played it in spite of its rough edges. And I remember just thinking, this is a cool world. This is interesting. This is different. And then I ended up enjoying New Vegas way more. I just dug that world, and it just felt way more fleshed out for me. That may be just because Obsidian was good at world building in that regard. But regardless, that's like where I came from. And I have a first-person shooter background, and those tend to be the games that I enjoy more. But I also enjoy RPGs. So like Fallout is sort of this perfect marriage that I have enjoyed. So I'm the guy on the other side saying, like, please improve the first-person shooter mechanics. Please make it a tighter shooter. Please make it more aesthetically pleasing. Please make my character look cool so I have all this sort of gear and, like, I look like a badass, even though I think it's like really hard to do.
You made a human monster
Well, no. Well,
I saw your footage.
Well, the version. Well, you saw my Xbox footage. My
Oh, that's
PC footage I made myself.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
I'm
yeah.
playing me, and every time I shave my beard or it grows out, I actually change my beard in game. That's one of the saddest things I've ever said in a video.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it is kind of funny that I'm playing it as like a me simulator, and it's like there's not a lot of games that I feel like I can do that.
That's interesting because I feel like I did that for every RPG I played from like 1996 to 2007. That was about a decade plus window where I've already done that a lot, and I feel like Fallout 4 doesn't really show me anything I haven't done a million times already. It's still fun, don't get me wrong. It's just I feel like when like a big numbered Bethesda game comes out, people expect something a little transformative. Because like going from Morrowind to Oblivion was a pretty big jump. Going from Oblivion to Skyrim, not quite as big, I guess, but still pretty substantial. Going from Fallout 3 to 4, it feels like the next Fallout, and I guess that's why the number's bigger. But it doesn't really have anything that says, you know, this is the new Fallout experience.
What they've done with the settlement building is pretty cool, albeit a little.
What's the point though? Like,
yeah.
As far as I've figured out, so I'm playing a melee character, which, given all the improvements they made to shooting, doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense. But I played a shooter character on Xbox, so I feel like I know what that's about. The only virtue I can see in doing all the settlement building is so you have craftable shit, like you have food and you have like gun mods and stuff at the ready. But it's not hard to get that stuff in the world. You can subsist off the stim packs you find on dead bodies.
Of course.
Maybe if you're playing on a harder difficulty, it'll really push that home where like you have to go back to your settlement, pick a bunch of potatoes and make some stew, and then go back out into the wilderness so you can have food to keep your HP high.
Well, I'm playing it with the gun nut perk, so I'm constantly building and improving guns using gun nut and science. So I'm always tweaking weapons. I'm always out there getting loot, and I'm always coming back and like dropping off all my junk. I found that garage, like the Red Rocket thing, and I was sort of like playing it as an RPG. I was looking at it and I was like, well, this is kind of my home away from home, because like Sanctuary is cool, but those guys are kind of dicks. So I'm gonna go over here. Like, I don't know if I really like the Minutemen, so this is gonna be like my secret home that I don't tell them about, and I'm gonna keep my power armor here. I'm gonna keep my really good weapons here so that no one touches my stuff. The beauty of Fallout is there's so many. And this kind of works against the game, I think, is that there's so many, like, what-ifs, where you look at the game like, oh, man, what if this happened? And then someone will come up and be like, oh, that did happen to me. And you go, oh, weird. But there's things like I want to totally dick over the Brotherhood of Steel. And then I want the Brotherhood of Steel to, like, come down on me and be like...
You can't do that.
What's that?
I don't think you can do that.
No, I don't think so. But that's something that's, like, the sort of thing that I want, and, like, I think it kind of works against the game.
I guess when it comes to what-ifs, there's a big, like, obvious what-if for me. What if the game weren't so fucking buggy? I hit some pretty critical problems. One was like a quest just wouldn't finish because dialogue wasn't initiating correctly.
Oh no.
I had to punch somebody to, like, I guess reset their status, and then everybody killed me, and then when I reloaded my save, it started. And that was I was like 30 minutes after trying to troubleshoot everything and like walking around and talking to people. There are times where I'll be fighting a legendary enemy and be like, good, it'll have some legendary gear. Hooray. And then I'll like kill it in VATS and it'll just fall through the floor.
Oh no.
And then I can't loot it. So there's small problems that are kind of annoying. There are big problems that are like, this is genuinely fucking a problem because this game doesn't work.
Almost disappointingly, it hasn't been that buggy for me, because, you know, I enjoy buggy stuff.
I do too. I enjoy fun bugs, and there are some fun bugs too, like enemies squirting into the air and then dying when they land.
That's basically all I got, was the scorpion flying and then falling. But like, I have had characters just kind of glitch through geometry and just be kind of stuck there. But the game, in a strange way, finds a way to fix itself. So just the other night, I was like trying to squeeze into this small area, and Dance, now who's my the paladin from Brotherhood of Steel, who's my follower, got like stuck into a wall, and I'm just like ha 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 ha, I'm running away, and he like bugged himself out, and I was like, oh, okay, the game fixed itself. And it hasn't actually, I haven't had like a full on just crash.
I see.
Which is strange.
I have. So it's crashed on me a few times, and a few quests have gotten stuck.
I've had a very pleasant playing experience, and I was kind of hoping for more weird stuff. I'm kind of jealous of the people who get all the broken things.
No faces.
Yeah, I want that stuff. I personally like it, but don't get me wrong, it's really cool where you can go into a room, take a clipboard, and knock bottles around everywhere, leave the room, go do 10,000 other things, come back to that room, and everything will be in the same place. You're like, that's kind of cool. Then again, I don't know why anyone wouldn't clean this stuff up, but at the same time, I'm like, that is cool that it can process that sort of math where it says, at this room, at this point, all this stuff happened, and it will be that way when you come back. That, to me, is unique. That's interesting. Yeah. But at the same time, you're like, okay, if that means it takes 35 minutes for a door to open, maybe we don't need that.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like that's connected to the virtue of the game where people can do whatever they want. It reminds me of this I remember before YouTube was a thing, I remember reading this like travelogue of some dude who was writing this blog on a website with like screenshots, and he was going around Morrowind stealing every pillow he could find, and he would just cram it all in this one room, and like he would post these pictures of it getting more and more filled with pillows. I remember thinking, that's really funny, and it's really cool that he can do that in this video game. But is he having fun? I mean, I guess he is. That's his weird OCD thing. Yeah,
that's sort of the thing. Like, that's his fun. And you, once again, I'm happy we live in a world where that sort of thing can be accomplished in a game. Like, what game gives you that choice? What other franchise, what other developer will create something where you're like, you can steal pillows? You're like, why? They're like,
It's like giving you a bucket of Legos and just says like, go have fun.
Lock tight.
It's the biggest swimming pool out there for me right now. Like, I guess the other comparison you can say is like Witcher, but Witcher doesn't take place in a post-apocalyptic world with a 50s doo-wop vibe.
Yeah.
So it's like this type of game speaks to what I like as a person individually. I'm not trying to say like it's for everyone, but it's like if you're into this sort of stuff and you can just put on the radio and The Wanderer starts playing, that's fucking cool.
The comparisons to Witcher, I think, are really appropriate given those two games do open world RPGs on the extreme opposite ends of the spectrum. Fallout is, hey, whatever you want to do, come here. Like, we're not gonna like knock you down too hard. We're not gonna tell you you're not playing right. Whereas The Witcher's like, if you're gonna come to our world, you got to learn our rules. And our rules are the combat's fucking difficult. You're gonna have to learn potions. You're gonna have to learn signs. You're gonna have to learn sword work. You're gonna have to hit buttons at the right time to actually fight and win. And we're not going to take it easy on you or give you like a nice time. You're going to have to learn how to make it in this world.
Yeah, I would say Fallout is a very large, shallow world where things can be accomplished quickly. Witcher is a very large, deep, deep, deep world.
Yeah.
I'm an adult who needs to move on with his life, and like I was actually kind of appreciative when I'm like, okay, yeah, that mission's over, let's move on. And I'm okay with that because it's a game that I want to just kind of jump. It's essentially
you're casual. That's what you're saying.
I am
you're filthy casual.
I would say in terms of RPGs.
You like Dark Souls? You're like, hey, yeah, Dark Souls.
I do like Dark Souls.
You like Dark Souls? Good.
I didn't finish Bloodborne, but I'm just saying, like, if a game starts to feel like it's taking up too much of my time, I usually walk away from it. That's me. I'm not trying to speak on behalf of our entire audience, but I'm just saying where I am as a 30-year-old male. I appreciate a game where I can just walk up to something and finish it and be like, all right, I'm going to call it a night, I'm done. Rather than like Witcher, I just remember just feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. To kind of summarize things, to me, Fallout is like McDonald's, which is not to say that it's bad, because it actually takes a lot of effort to make a product that everyone on the earth could like. But that doesn't mean that it's particularly profound or new. You always know what a cheeseburger from McDonald's is going to taste like, and sometimes that's what you want, and that's what you need, but that doesn't make it like daring art, you know?
Sure. I don't think the game is trying to be daring art, honestly.
Even though it is pretty. Holy shit.
It is. I mean, there was some talk of graphics not being that great. There are
technically not great.
There's a difference between graphics and art direction, and I really like Fallout's art direction.
Yeah. I'm in the weird place of not being super blown away by it, but still wanting to play it, so I don't know what that means.
It's McDonald's. Once again, since we don't give games a score here, it's hard for me to convince someone who is not into the series already to like it. I guess this is almost a review for people who are also playing the game and kind of either on your side or my side, or they're like, I don't know if I like this game, or I really love this game. Convince me that I really like it.
Yeah, it's purely an extension of Fallout 3, and there's not a whole lot of surprises here, which is not bad. Fallout 3 is not a bad game.
Yeah.
And if you want more Fallout 3, they made a 4 for you, but I wouldn't expect anything too transformative or unique or profound in this one.
Yeah, I'm still really enjoying what they've given me, and it is the game that I find myself thinking about more and more when I'm not playing it. I think that's a good time when you start having...
It gets in your skull.
I have dreams.
Ooh.
It's sad.
No, that's good, probably. Let's go get some nuggets.
You get some nuggets?
Nuggets.
All right, do we have to give it a fake score?
2 sweet and sour packets.
I give it 6 out of 7 Brotherhoods of Steels.
Got it.